Hello, and it's really good to have your company for this It's Learning Thursday webinar. My name is Ella Coles. I'm a pedagogical consultant with It's Learning, which means I support schools and colleges all over the UK to use their learning platform to get the very best out of it for you and your learners. Unfortunately, for reasons beyond our control today, I won't be able to respond live to your questions, but please do feel free to ask questions via the question box. We'll answer by email. Alternatively, you can email your questions to me directly. I'll give you my email address at the end of this webinar. The webinar will also be recorded, so please let any colleagues who couldn't attend the live session know so that they can catch up later. We're joined today by schools outside the UK, so a warm welcome to you. If you have any questions arising from the webinar, please address them to your own national consultants who will be happy to help. In today's webinar, we'll look at how you can prevent the loss of instructional learning time due to bad weather by turning snow days into online learning days with It's Learning. Closures due to bad weather, boiler breakdowns and the like are not just inconvenient for parents and teachers, but students can also miss out on important and sometimes crucial learning opportunities. Because learning can't wait, not even when it's snowing, you can use your It's Learning platform to help you be snow ready and prepare your platform for distance and remote home learning so that students aren't missing out on their valuable learning time. Staff can get on with all the tasks that they need to do, and your organisation is business as usual, albeit remotely. I'm going to use a variety of sites to demonstrate what I'm telling you about today, the original It's Learning with the left-hand navigation panel, and also the brand new It's Learning with the menus along the top. If your school or college hasn't yet organised a switch to the new It's Learning, don't worry. Everything that I'm showing you today can be done in both versions. In the United States, where snow closures can be more frequent than in the UK, schools and colleges and training providers have been turning more and more to online learning. This has been very popular and successful, especially as staff and students have to make up any days that their organisation has had to close during the holidays. Many districts in the US now use It's Learning for their everyday teaching and learning and to provide work for learners when the weather gets too bad for them to come in. They have established district-wide set policies which are shared with staff, learners and parents. The first thing to do is obviously to let everyone know that your school, college or training organisation is closed. Apart from the usual local radio broadcasts, make sure that your staff, learners, parents and anyone else who is involved with your organisation is aware well in advance of any bad weather that you'll be keeping them updated via It's Learning. Think about all your stakeholders. What do they see first when they log in? Do all your users land on the same page? Many schools have different landing pages set for staff and for learners. Check your user profiles in the admin area if you're not sure. These will show under Start URL in the profile settings. If they're going to land on your organisation's dashboard, you could add a content block in a prominent position so that it's the first thing they see when they check. To save time, if different groups of users have different landing pages, you can add an announcement to the login page. Your It's Learning administrator will need to do this. Let me just show you how that would work. So I'm just going to go into a site here and log in as administrator. If I go to the administration area, scroll down to Edit Global Settings and Login Page Settings. Make sure that the news box is ticked so that that box appears on the login page, and then clicking on change, I can add the news item that I want to put in. So if I click on add news, give it a title, and then save. And then you'll see that news item appear under the login box. This is good for any of your users, such as parents who don't have their own logins for It's Learning. As long as you've shared the URL for the learning platform with them, they'll be able to see without actually logging in. What if you're trying to reach staff or learners who don't have access to a computer? The It's Learning app, which anyone can download free to their Apple or Android smartphone, means that they can receive course bulletins and messages straight to their phone, as we have in the example here. Start planning now for how you'd like to structure the navigation to your snow day learning. Keeping it simple is key to this. You may already have an element in your courses which is specifically created for students to access independently, either an e-learning area or an independent learning area. In this case, it would simply be a case of making sure everyone knew in advance to carry on with work from this area from home if your organisation has to close due to bad weather. If your learners already have established courses that they're used to accessing, then perhaps instructing your teachers to add an explicit Snow Day folder within their course is a good idea. Alternatively, you may wish to create a new course called Snow Day, which all students access while your school or college is closed. And then you can direct teachers to create a folder within that course to upload their work to. I just go in back to my course here, and I'm just going to log in as a teacher instead of the administrator. And put in log in as my teacher. So to create a course in the new version of It's Learning, you should know that it's just going to Courses, All Courses, and Add. And this will also be the same process from the current version of It's Learning. So it doesn't matter which one you're working with. So if I call this Snow Day, if you're in an LA site or a federation site with more than one establishment, then do make sure that you choose the right establishment for your particular course to go into. And click on Save. Don't forget to ensure that all students and staff are participants to this newly created Snow Days course by clicking on Participants either here or in the left-hand navigation panel in the current version. Click on Participants, and you probably need to go put the whole of the staff, the whole of the pupil hierarchy in. So if I click on Hierarchy Synchronization, find Hierarchy, and then I want to put in all of my students, and again all of my staff. I can set those up as separate groups within the course if I wish, and obviously if your parents have accounts as well, you would be perhaps wanting to add your parents to that course. Once I've done that, I click on Save, and that has added all of my users to that particular course. As far as planning goes, keep your lessons simple, straightforward and easy to navigate. Remember, it may be more difficult for students to get in touch with you and ask for help if they don't understand the structure or the questions or the concepts that you've included. If you want a foolproof structure for your lesson, why not use the itslearning planner? Plan the simple progression steps of your class. Use the buttons on the toolbar when you're editing to include rich media content such as YouTube videos, self-recorded videos, or you could use the embed button to add activities you may have created in sites such as Quizlet. Connect all the resources and activities you'd like your class to complete for the lesson and make your planner live for the dates that the school is closed. I'll be looking at the planner in more detail a little bit later. You can also add self-recorded video or audio to provide explanations or instructions. So what sort of activities are you going to include? If you're a secondary school teacher or college lecturer or training provider with a packed curriculum to get through, you may need to plough ahead with your normal scheme of work, with new concepts or theories that are introduced perhaps through YouTube videos or videos that you've recorded yourself. Here, for example, the school has recorded their own video as a normal practice during the lesson, and then uploaded it and put it in an assignment, asking the students to re-watch it and to explain what's happening. Comprehension-based activities are useful, or if you'd rather introduce a new topic in class rather than remotely, how about creating a self-marking test which can reinforce and consolidate the last topic your students studied? Recording demonstrations, experiments and practicals is generally a great way of allowing your learners to revisit lessons and can be used for snow closure days to help them revise and consolidate their learning. If you teach early learners or primary level students, you may have more flexibility to be creative with the activities you set online, in which case, why not try a few of these suggestions? Use the snow as a theme for a science experiment, for poetry, writing for the students or the pupils. Upload snow stories or links through to online snow stories for reading practice. Look at the geometry perhaps of ice and snow as a maths activity, or concentrate on Earth's snowiest places, a study of the Arctic, Antarctic. Perhaps encouraging students to photograph their own snow art and share their pictures in a discussion forum in your course. Or you could set a custom activity that students click to say that they've completed, asking them to get active in the snow, whether it be in groups or singly. And here's a few more ideas. Very simple to set up in a note in this case, or a page, just some text instructions. You can combine various subjects in one place for your class, as here. Or you could invite your learners to take part in an online discussion talking about what they've actually done during their day at home. For early learners, again, it can be kept very simple with links through to activities, images. and for a little bit older, a whole collection of snow-themed activities here. I mentioned the planner earlier on, so if you're working with uploading your resources and using the planner, the best way to do that, if I go to my online course here, so from the planner settings, either on the left-hand navigation panel, or if you're in the new It's Learning, you'll find this on the white menu bar or on the top. Click on the planner, and I can add the content to guide my learners through what it is I want them to do. With the planner, of course, you can include areas on your plan that are invisible to the students, so that you can include notes to guide other members of your department. Put in the activities or the guidelines to what you actually want these students to do. And then you can link directly to resources and activities from the bottom of your plan. So if I click on Add a Resource, I can either link to resources within my course that are already there, I can search for them in the library, or I can create a new page or crossword, for example, or a new link directly from the planner. I'm just going to add to a course at the moment, and I want to add to this particular link that I've already set up in my course. That's now appeared for my learners to go directly to the activities that I want them to do from that plan. Or with your Snow Day course, let's just go on to new version. Similar sort of thing. You can go into your resources, or either on the left-hand side, or in the new version from the menu at the top. In both cases, click on Add, and then from the panel you can select what it is that you want to add, either a file or a folder, a link through to an external website, and you can upload Word documents, PDFs, PowerPoints, Excel spreadsheets, whatever it is that you need in your course. You can create your own interactive resource pages for students to access by creating a note or a page. If we go back to the course here, back to resources, so clicking on the Add button, I'm just going to create a note in this particular case, which is like an interactive worksheet, and we're going to do a little bit of work while everybody's at home on parts of the skeleton. Now obviously I can include text, I can include images through the rich text editor here, but also I can include interactive activities such as Quizlet. For those of you that don't know Quizlet, it's a very nice third-party site, external site, quizlet.com, that you can just register free of charge with an email address, and either through the search at the top, or by having saved some or created some activities yourself, you can save these to your area and search through them. I'm just going to add one that I've put together. It's a great way of practicing key vocabulary, for example, because you're actually creating flashcards with images, with vocabulary that can be used to practice that key vocabulary. So I'm going to go in, I want to do a matching game here. So I've got various different options of how we work with these flashcards. I'm going to go to More and Embed, and it will give me an embed code for each of those different activities, whether it's just learning the vocabulary to begin with, or practicing it with a game. I'm going to use a match game, copy that particular text, and then go back into It's Learning to my note. I'm going to use the embed button, which is this one here, and just paste in the code that I've copied there and click on Insert and save my activity. And then I can include something that will hopefully keep my pupils, my learners engaged as an activity where they have to match these. So let's have a look and see if I can find two matching pairs. They disappear. I'm working against the clock here, so you could even get them to do a screen capture of their best score at the end of it and post it into a discussion forum, get a bit of a competition going amongst your class. Same thing can be done with a note, with a page, sorry. So if I go to resources, I can add a new page. And page is just slightly different in that you add content blocks to add the content to. So we'll have a content block here, and let's put a Prezi in. So Prezis are, again, you've got lots of ready-made ones that you can choose. I'm going to have one here which is to do with the Olympics, and just copy the code, go back to my page, click on the embed button and paste that in. I'll see a little preview of it and save. And there I've got my Prezi that the students can work their way through as part of the activities that I've set for them. Other things that you could try doing with a page are to embed a video and use perhaps a poll to engage students within that page. Creating activities is just simply a case of clicking on the green Add button in your resources, and again with either within your folder or separately, and select the activity that you want to use. A survey, for example, for capturing students' thoughts perhaps prior to a topic that you're going to teach when everybody is back in class, to gauge their level of understanding. Then you can have a more informed view when introducing the topic to them. You can use an assignment so that you're actually pushing a task out to the students to elicit a response. Assignments do require the teacher to assess the work, though. Remember. Students can get very creative by using the multimedia buttons to record their own videos, upload images or embed videos to illustrate their point. And of course you've got the self-marking tests and quizzes. You might want to get away from the normal sort of multiple choice or yes/no answers by using the hotspot question. Here's a few examples. It's a good option for self-marking functionality. So don't forget to make your tests really immersive by engaging your learners with something a little bit different. So here's an example of a listening comprehension question for a foreign language. The teachers used a self-recorded audio to set the question, which actually says cliquez sur la tête. She then uploaded a photo of a person and circled the head for the hotspot, and then the student would need to click on the head to get the answer correct. And this would be equally useful for EAL or younger pupils. You could use a hotspot question for map work, for example, identifying where the Pyrenees are, or identifying key features that supported settlement of an area, for example. This teacher has taken a picture of several words and asked the student to click on the ones that have a short "ah" sound. She's created several hotspots on the image that the pupils would need to identify. And again, notice the use of audio for the question. Or perhaps you have a diagram without labels, of course, and you want the student to click on a certain part of the diagram. You're not limited to a circle or square hotspot, so you could draw the exact area of the tympanic membrane if you wanted your student to identify that. Or perhaps a photo of an engineering workshop where students have to click to identify hazards. How about plotting points on a graph, as in this example here, where a hotspot has been created to for the student to click on to identify where they would actually plot the point. The act of processing and discerning is very important, and these kind of hotspot questions require learners to pause and reflect and do some serious processing and discernment. So a very good way of testing their understanding. Another way of creating activities that allow students to process learning are ones where they use more than one sense to work with that information. So a drag and drop activity like matching questions or putting things onto a timeline. One of the things that often poses problems for learners working on their own at home is what to do when they get stuck. You have several tools available in itslearning which can help support your students when they need help. Depending on the age and independence of your learners, you could encourage them to support each other. The internal messaging is instant and students can chat in real time, perhaps letting you extend your Ask 3 Before Me policy to the virtual classroom. Discussion forums are a well-established means in everyday life for people to seek help. Use a discussion in your course and let your learners post their queries and help each other. One of the best ways to consolidate learning is to explain it to someone else. You can look in from time to time to monitor what is happening and post your own reply if necessary. Don't forget that you can use self-recorded video and audio in the discussions to explain something quickly. itslearning also has a video conferencing tool which you could set up in your course and let your learners know that you're available at a particular time to answer queries. Again, just working from the course that you've got here, if I go into resources and add, you'll see on the activities menu conference. I'll just put in a title, brief description of what this particular video conference room is for, and I can choose, if I wish, whether or not to set a time span for it. So if I don't want my learners working within this video conferencing room when I'm not there to supervise, I can set the time span when it's actually going to be active. You have a limit to the number of users at a time that can use this. For video, you can have up to 4 people at a time. With the audio, it's up to 10 participants, and for text-based chat, a maximum of 50 participants at a time. Keeping the feeling of community and involvement is also important. This school regularly videos their student notices and uploads them to YouTube. They can then add them to bulletins and keep in touch with both their staff and their learners through the bulletins, just simply by pasting the URL from the video page into the bulletin box. The next step really is to make your content available. Check that your planner, if you're using the planner, is activated to the correct dates, that folders in your course are active, that the work is directed at the proper and relevant groups if necessary, and that the participants have been added to your course. Don't forget to regularly log in and check your activities for submissions. Any tasks set in the assignment tool will need manual marking. A top tip is to use the self-recorded video button to give video feedback. You could also encourage your students to download itslearning's app for notifications on when work is set and assessment is available for them. I hope I've given you some ideas for how you could keep learning going in the case of having to close. There are a few things to bear in mind when planning your strategy. Are your students ready for online learning? Have they any experience in this? Do they have login details and passwords that they can get online from home or from different computers than usual? If your platform has single sign-on, would your learners and staff know how to log in from home? Consider your students' skill levels to access and complete work outside the classroom. Should you offer extra support online to those who may need it, or perhaps beforehand prepare by offering classes on mobile learning? Communicating with parents is also important. How about creating an information course for parents, preparing them for supporting their child with online learning and possibly getting them to prepare potential childminders on supervising or how to access and find course materials? Also think about anyone who may be involved on a daily basis with your establishment who could also be included in these arrangements, either as support or just for communication and business as usual reasons. Caseworkers, peripatetic teachers, employers, outreach workers. If you have any questions, please email me at ella.coles@itslearning.com. I hope this has given you some ideas on how itslearning can be used to ensure that teaching and learning can continue even in the harshest of winters. Let us know how you get on. We'd love to hear about how you've used your platform. Tweet us at itslearninguk, #LearningThursdays. Thank you for joining us today.